Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, April 17th, 2019.
We have Commissioner Garcia, Cabello, James, and Caloza present. President James, we do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Hassan Rod, LA Sanitation.
Good morning, Asad Al-Najjar, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, David Rivera, Streets LA.
Good morning, Sefi Wiles, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Chris Johnson, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we did receive one speaker card under general public comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We did receive speaker cards on items number 1, 3, and 4 for today's agenda as well.
Okay, then we will first take up our meeting minutes. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting on Monday, March 11th, 2019 by Commissioner Cabello? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. We'll close the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. We have a general public comment card this morning. Dr. Tom Williams. Good morning.
Good morning. Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, new director for the next 3 years. But anyway, we have a problem. On Sunday afternoon, there was a big meeting in CD 12 regarding the new candidates and their position regarding gas and oil. We also had a meeting last night with 50 people with the Sierra Club Airport Marina Group regarding favorite subject, oil and gas, and the Playa del Rey gas storage facility in the city of Los Angeles. In both, 11 candidates in the Sunday meeting said, shut it down. Everybody last night, if you would have voted, would have had shut it down. So the question is, how can the Department of Public Works with the Oil and Gas Administrator improve the situation? One of the things that bothered me once was when they had a flaring of lighted gas at the Playa del Rey facility, and they disallowed the LA City Fire Department from going on site. Why? Oh, we got it under control. What was the real reason? They didn't want an incident report. Because if LA Fire Department would have gone on site, they would have had to do a whole bunch of things. So we're quite concerned regarding oil and gas in the city of LA. What the Oil and Gas Administrator has done for the Jefferson site is to clean up their act and contain it. So what we're looking at is a sequence of contain it now and eventually close it down.
2 minutes.
These sites have been going for 60 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. No other cards for general public comment, so we'll close general public comment. Agenda item number 10, specifications have been submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. This is in Council Districts 2 and 6 for their San Fernando Road Bike Path Phase 3 project. The estimate's $17,736,248. The bid receipt date is May 22nd, 2019. Is there a second to my motion that we approve agenda item number 10 forthwith? By Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Dr. Campos, there has been a request by our Office of Petroleum Administration and Natural Gas Safety to continue the agenda item number 4 on the NASCO Pipe Petroleum LLC penalty 1 week to Wednesday, April 24th, 2019, correct?
That is correct. We did receive a phone call from NASCO themselves and their representatives requesting to sync this item with the next item that's coming up before the board on the 24th. So we're asking to a continuation so that the board can consider both NASCO items at the same time.
So both of their items at the same time?
Correct.
Okay. Then we'll continue agenda item number 4 accordingly. Agenda item number 9, authority for expenditure. This is for the Water Research Foundation. Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of 103, this is a revised amount from what is on your agenda, $103,200 to pay for fiscal year 2018-19, the current fiscal year, for the Water Research Foundation subscription dues renewal. Mr. Nikaido, hi.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Steve Nikaido with the Regulatory Affairs Division at Valdez Sanitation. As noted, we are requesting your board to approve and execute an authority for expenditure in the amount of $103,200 to renew our subscription to the Water Research Foundation, WRF, also known to us as WRF, for the renewal period covering November 1st, 2018 to October 31st of 2019. WRF is a leading nonprofit research cooperative advancing the science of water to protect public health and the environment. We have been a member for over 20 years. WRF provides sound research in wastewater, stormwater, drinking water, and reuse fields. As you may know, the research is expensive and takes time. By participating in WRF, we are able to have access to comprehensive, credible, and timely research. And the WRF itself has a membership of over 1,200 subscribers, both across the U.S. and internationally. Locally, some of those other members include LA Department of Water and Power, LA County Department of Public Works, LA County Sanitation Districts, and the Orange County Sanitation Districts. The fee itself is based on the average daily flow of our treatment plants. Our fee has been negotiated to be $103,200 for at least the last 5 years. I would like to note that the WRF has a subscription rate based on that average daily flow, based on our actual amount of over 300 million gallons per day. Our fee could be as high as the max, which is $144,900. But again, we've worked with the WRF to keep our fee at the $103,200 amount. Some of the highlights from WRF, I'd just like to point out, by participating in WRF, we'll be able to take advantage of some of the research that they're doing. For example, they were recently awarded, well, a few years ago, awarded a $4.5 million grant from the State Water Resources Control Board for research studies on potable and non-potable reuse. They held a conference on water reclamation and reuse in Long Beach in 2017, and currently we are working with WRF and other sanitation agencies on a project for the application of biosolids, the solids products resulting from our treatment plant processes, and applying them to fire-ravaged lands with the intent of improving soil structure, soil nutrients, reducing erosion, and restoring ecosystems. So that's kind of the general scope of some of the work that we can look forward to with WRF, and I anticipate with some of the heightened interest and efforts towards water reclamation and addressing issues of constituents of emerging concern that will have opportunities to benefit from the research through WRF. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Great, thank you, Mr. Nikaido. Excellent summary. You answered the questions I had along the way. Perhaps you anticipated them. So without any questions, I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 9, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 9. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Any issue sending number 9 forthwith? We will send number 9 forthwith. The oral report regarding agenda item number 11 regarding the urban forestry management plan will be withdrawn at this time, Mr. Benuelos. We're gonna hear that. Or
We're going to
Dr.
withdraw it.
Campos?
We'll work with city plans on rescheduling that for a future date.
Yeah, probably after the summit. So is what I would think. Okay, so we'll withdraw agenda item number 11 as well. Agenda item number 6, Council District 9, contract acceptance, Figueroa Corridor Project, Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Ms. Wiles.
Good morning, President James. The Bureau of Contract Administration is recommending to accept this contract, which was awarded to All American Asphalt on August 10, 2016. The award amount was $564,033.70 with a contingency of $117,983, giving the total authorized budget of $707,897. This project scope was for the replacement of existing damaged sidewalk, curb and gutters, the closing of several driveways no longer needed on Martin Luther King Boulevard between Figueroa and Vermont. There were street trees planted, signage, street lights, and pedestrian lights installed to increase the safety and improvement of the overall pedestrian experience. 11 change orders were issued, increasing the contract amount by $7,943.20, bringing the total cost of this contract to $76.90, which was 1.41% above the awarded amount and 19.20% below its authorized budget. Final corrections were completed on June 11, 2018. Retention release was requested in the amounts of $13,641.75, and subsequent disputed funds were released on 2 additional payments. There were no funds disputed or withheld, therefore no funds due the contractor. The original anticipated subcontractor participation percentages for the projects were 4% MBE, 2% WBE, 25% SBE, 8% EBE, and 3% DVBE. All American had pledged 12.59 for MBE, 0 for the WBE, 15.63 for the SBE, 3.93 EBE, and 0 for the DVBE. They achieved finally 12.64 for the MBE, 0 for the WBE, 14.57 for SBE, 3.03 for the EBE, and 0 for the DVBE. The mandatory subcontracting minimum was 20%. It was pledged at 25.97%, and they achieved 27.95%. There are no unresolved property owners' complaints in connection with this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Wiles on number 6? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6, seconded by Commissioner Garcia and Commissioner Caloza. Any objection? For that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 6 forthwith. Number 7, Department of Transportation and Bureau of Engineering, Council Districts 1, 6, 9, 10, and 13. Budget increase and supplemental agreement change order number 2 for the Crosstown Electric and Data Incorporated. Recommending that the board authorize $1,907,145 in additional contingency and revised construction budget of $4,818,378.75 for the Vision Zero Phase 2 project, and authorize the Los Angeles Department of Transportation General Manager to issue supplemental agreement change order number 2. Mr. Samaro, hi.
Good morning. My name is Daniel from LADOT Vision Zero. I'm here to present the joint report from BOE and LADOT for the cost increase that Commissioner James just reiterated. Well, I don't want to repeat myself. So just giving some background. In November of last year, the Board of Public Works awarded a contract to Crosstown Electric for an amount approximately $2.91 million. That contract was to build 2 out of the 3 reconstruction corridors that will be built by this contract and this method. Those 2 streets are Venice and Roscoe Boulevard. We also have a 3rd street, which is Temple Street. Limits are from Beaudry to Beverly. This project is a very high priority for us. It's one of our priority corridors, which again are one of the worst streets in terms of safety and the needs of really our departments working together. BOE providing the reconstruction efforts, new curb and gutter, repavement, and and DOT providing left turn signal improvements. So there'll be 7 left turn signalized location improvements as part of this project, and you would also see new curb ramps constructed at each of these new upgraded signalized locations. Additionally, the work that we need to perform on Temple Street includes new striping throughout the corridor as well. So again, the urgency to implement reconstruction on Temple is very paramount for us. We've made some very big commitments to our executive steering committee for the Complete Streets program, also to the public. And moving forward, our request is to, on a one-time basis, request a supplemental change order to add the Temple Street scope to the existing Venice and Roscoe construction contract. We believe that there are some efficiencies that the city can realize in terms of administrative cost savings, in terms of some significant time savings, again, to really get this work out there into the streets. Temple's one of the streets that needs it the most to get these left turn improvements in. But this is, again, a unique situation where this isn't our traditional practice, and we're admitting that we've learned some very valuable lessons in getting the reconstruction program off the ground. And this is just one of those circumstances where we really want to honor our commitment and help keep the project on schedule. Let's see. Additionally, let's see here. I guess one other piece to that was you get one contractor building these signalized improvements and curb ramps throughout these 3 reconstruction corridors, so you get consistency and you get a contractor that understands the scope of the work very well. Additionally, Crosstown is already out in the field constructing Roscoe as we speak. We've spoke with them, and they are prepared to move on to Temple immediately to get this project under construction. And so we have funding for this supplemental change order agreement. We originally budgeted for this scope of work. However, we're just asking for it to be implemented through the existing contract for immediacy and to get this project constructed quickly. But we originally budgeted for this scope of work. Just so you know, this isn't additive or some unforeseen. We have budget specifically for these improvements.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Samara. We'll start with Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James, and thank you for your board report, sir. I just want to see if I understand this correctly. This was not part of the original scope of work, but you want the current contractor who's working on Roscoe and Venice
yes.
to do this work.
Yes.
So given the urgency you laid out in terms of Temple, and I travel Temple almost daily, so I understand that urgency and the safety needs there, why was that not part of that original scope of work?
It was really timing. So we knew that we needed to get Roscoe and Venice underway. I told you we learned some valuable lessons. We learned that we need to just provide ample time for the design effort to occur. And the first 2 streets that we designed were Venice and Roscoe. We then shifted to Temple, where we needed to begin design on Temple a little sooner. That's something openly admitting. But we were able to get Roscoe and Venice out the moment that those plans were ready. We sent them out to be bid and awarded for construction. So Temple needed to be designed faster.
Okay, but so in terms of your prioritization, Temple was third in that, in terms of the order in which the safety was needed. It wasn't anticipated, it wasn't going to be as urgent as Roscoe or Venice.
I can't say that just because
I'm just trying to understand the
Yeah.
logic behind the rush. Like, so
Okay.
if this was always kind of a safety issue, and it was third in priority, why is there this rush now? I know this change order required.
Commissioner, I believe I understand your question. I'm Gene Edwards, Program Manager of the Complete Streets, which is the reconstruction portion of the program. When this reconstruction program was developed, originally there were 6 corridors, and the 6 corridors were all of equal priority. It was just a matter of being able to deliver the projects, and obviously you can't deliver everything at the very same time. So it happened to be the way the work was divided up, and we admit it was an optimistic schedule. Technically, the bids were received in August, so that was last summer, and at that time, the Temple portion was not 100% complete, so we could not include that as an addendum prior to award of that contract. And so in order to move forward with the schedule, we had to complete the design of Temple in parallel with starting the construction of Venice and Roscoe. I also wanted to point out that really this contractor is one of 2 contractors, the other contractor being our own street services. And so it's not as though this contractor is the principal contractor on the job. He's providing supplemental construction services that need to be completed ahead of Bureau of Street Services completing their portion of the work. And that's kind of why we're in this kind of pickle, so that we can get this work completed, not to delay street services from completing their part of the work. If we were not to do this, we could potentially add six to 10 months, and street services would have to wrap up what they have and come back later and finish up.
Thank you. That's very helpful. I think maybe for future best practices, we'd want to add this kind of information in the board report, because there was not that context of understanding the urgency for street services to have this work done before street services could perform their work. That's what I was missing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. Anything else? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item, actually that was Commissioner Garcia's motion on agenda item number 7. I'll second it along with Commissioner Caloza. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt number 7. Thank you, Mr. Smock.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 7 forthwith? We'll send number 7 forthwith. Agenda item number 8, Council Districts 1, 5, 8, 9, and 14. Contract award street lighting parkway illumination of North Broadway Street. Is this you, Mr. Benuelos? Are you presenting on this item today?
Yes.
Okay. Recommending that the board find Trimming Land Company Incorporated to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Trimming Land the contract for the trimming of 2,500 trees in the parkways of the streets listed above in the amount of $365,000. Secondly, authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the contract for the project after approval as to form by the city attorney has been obtained. Third, instruct the executive officer of the board to immediately advise Trimming Land to submit their bonds and insurance documents within 5 working days after the date of notification of award of the contract by the board. Fourth, instruct the executive officer of the board to immediately advise Trimming Land that work on the project must start within 5 working days from the date of issuance of the notice to proceed. Mr. Benuelos on agenda item number 8, and I would just, well, go ahead and then I'll add my addendum to your presentation.
Yeah, good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney Dr. Campos, Hector Banuelos from the Streets LA Urban Forestry Division. We have before us is a request for the board to approve and to allow the board to issue a notice to proceed as soon as possible for the trimming of approximately 2,500 trees in Council Districts 1, 5, 8, 9, and 14. If approved, the city will be able to trim approximately 2,500 more additional trees throughout the city and the respective council districts. The project is funded through the street lighting assessment funds, and it will be an added benefit so the city can then increase its ability to trim additional trees throughout the city. The trimming land was declared the lowest responsive bidder, and if awarded, it will provide the trimming to improve the street lighting illumination. They do have a subcontractor who is a emerging business enterprise and a small business enterprise, and they pledged at 4% of the tree trimming.
Okay, thank you. Just my addendum is that this is, and you can confirm this, Mr. Benuelos, this is a cousin, first cousin, maybe even a brother or a sister to the contract that we had last week or so, where we were where we had some communication with our partners at Labor about the fact that this is one of the areas where we still don't quite have enough staff members and equipment to do this work. Therefore, the recommendation is to let this contract out, recognizing that over time we are still in the rebuilding process of urban forestry.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cabello?
Thank you, President James. Just wanted to also confirm that this is probably going to be maybe the last one, or maybe there'll be one more additional contract coming our way after we are going to be fully not only staffed up, but have all the equipment that our workers need to trim our trees ourselves.
Well, yeah, for this fiscal year, yes. There may be more depending on if street lighting has funding available to hire more contracts. But as far as I know, this is the last one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benuelos. So I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 8, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 8. Any issue sending number 8 forthwith? We will send number 8 forthwith. Thank you, sir. I have you on number 1, but we're not going to call that one yet.
Thank you.
We are going to go ahead and take our special. We have a special number 1 this morning. So let's adjourn the regular meeting, Dr. Campos, and go to our special meeting for today, Wednesday, April 17th, 2019.
Absolutely. Opening up the special for the roll call, we have Commissioner Garcia, Cabello, James, and Calozo. We do have a quorum, Mr. President. There is no speaker cards on special item number 1. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section.
Okay, we do have, we'll close the Neighborhood Council category of commentary as well as general public comment. Dr. Williams, you have a card in on special number 1.
Good morning, Dr. Tom Williams, Sierra Club Water Committee, and others. What have we gotten for this past contributions to this project or this organization? And what will we actually get that will be pertinent to Los Angeles? And one of my other committees, the Environmental Justice Committee, is concerned regarding how the relationship of water use to sanitary flow and load and the rates that are paid by renters. There's a move right now to give low-income purchasers of DWP water a discount. That's very nice, except that 50% of the population, 2 million people, are renters, so they won't benefit at all. And those are usually a little bit lower income than those people who actually are on the water bill. So one of the issues for this particular project would be, hey, find out the relationship of renter sewage flow and load versus owner flow and loads. So there's some issues of equity, and if we're going to pay some money, that means environmental justice also. So it's an interesting aspect, but it was one that was brought up by the DWP, who are trying to implement a low-income water rate. Will there be a low-income sewage rate? And I would assume that their loads may be different from those of owners. So there's a question as to equity. And will this study distinguish between renters and owners? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Mr. Burgoyne? And I know that Ms. Hoppenstand is here this morning as well. We had a hearing on this, I believe it was maybe Friday, for some period of time, and while I mentioned then that I didn't want to have a repeat of that hearing today, there was going to be some supplemental information for the record today. So go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Board President, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, and Executive Officer. I'm Dale Burgoyne from Sanitation. As Commissioner James said, we had a board hearing on Friday on this subject, and I'd just like to say that the results of the study will be used to determine the average flow and strength values that sanitation will need in the future in evaluating its rates, rate structure, and charges for sewer service charge, as well as for the sewage facilities charge. So in the future, if we recommend rating, adopt adjustments to our rates or rate structure, we'll go through the regular process to get it adopted eventually by the City Council and by the Mayor. I'd like now to address a couple things that Dr. Williams asked about. First of all, this is the first time we're contributing to this study. This study hasn't been performed for many years. The state board has recommended values that have been the same since the 70s or 80s, and so I think it's high time that we looked at again. And secondly, he indicated that he asked a question about a low-income discount for the sewer service charge. Yeah, there already is a low-income discount for sewer service charges. So last week, we were instructed to add a couple items to the board report, which we have done as an addendum. The first of these is the percentages and dollar contributions from all the agencies participating in this study, which we have. LA and LA County Sanitation Districts pay the most because we have the highest average dry weather flow and the highest number of customers. We were also asked to provide greater details on how water conservation has reduced average wastewater flows and affected strengths, leading to the need for this study. We were instructed to add a discussion by Hee-Song Kim, who was Sanitation's board rep last week, and he had about Hyperion's 30% reduction in wastewater inflows over the last 15 years. He also mentioned that the strength loadings have not changed very much. So we've added these to the board report, and it's an addendum to the board report. Do you have any questions?
Okay, any questions at all, Commissioner Garcia or Commissioner Caloza, regarding the questions that you had last time?
For the record, I just want to say that thank you for your report. We were actually briefed after last week's board report or meeting, so it made it so much more clearer now. And I appreciate the additional background information that you put in here, because it really does help understand why we're paying so much money for this study. So thank you. Thank you.
Right. And at the end of the day, if I recall correctly, just from my communications with, well, I hate to reveal communications with council, but let me just put it this way. From my review of the report and the hearing last time, when I put the whole thing in context, we had a fairly lengthy discussion last time, you did with the board, about the fact that the City of Los Angeles is sharing with other entities. If we weren't sharing with other entities, it would cost the City of Los Angeles much more money to obtain this data, correct?
That's true.
That's just deductive reasoning on my part. But.
Right, because we need a certain amount of sampling and monitoring to get statistically relevant results. And since we're sharing with agencies around the state, especially in Southern California, they're helping to pay to get that statistically relevant number of samples.
Okay, great, thank you. Commissioner Caloza satisfied as well?
Yeah, I appreciated, this additional information, which I think, would have been helpful, last week. I think for these matters where there's studies and there's, some information that we were asking that, it wasn't quite clear, who the other agencies are participating, more information, not less, I think is helpful, especially when you're sharing it for, the record and for the public's transparency. But, I don't have any further questions, and, your last comments there about costs, and for President James for, setting the context for that this would actually cost the city more, I think was not previously mentioned, and that's really helpful context for the board and for me, so thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. Commissioner Cavale?
Just some closing remarks, President James. I think one lesson learned, I've heard the play-by-play. I wasn't here on Friday. I wish I was. It sounded very exciting. But process matters, and process, whether it is briefing the public, briefing the commissioners, is something that's very important and something to be mindful moving forward. And with that, I'll make a motion to move this item.
Okay, I would, if I could add a friendly amendment to your motion to add transmittal number 2 and recommendation number 3 from the original report. Okay, so that'll be the motion. Is there a subsequent second? Commissioner Caloza? Well, just because I added the amendment. Any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order on special item number 1. Thank you, Mr. Burgoyne.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Hoppenstein. Any issues sending special 1 forthwith? We'll send special 1 forthwith. That will adjourn the special meeting, returning to the regular meeting. Dr. Campos, are you required to call the roll on the regular meeting again?
I will. I'll call the roll. We have Commissioner Garcia, Cabello, James, and Colozar are present. We do have a quorum. You may now begin the regular meeting.
Okay, and now, I recall that there was something I wanted to do on agenda item number 7 that I neglected to do when we had number 7 on the board, and that was a question for you, Mr. Jordan. There was some discussion around number 7 about how Mr. Samara from the Department of Transportation, they indicated this wasn't kind of their standard practice. Commissioner Cabello had further discussion with Mr. Edwards and Mr. Samora about that. But I did want to just get your statement on the oral record that the city attorney's office was okay with the process.
Yes, as was reflected in the written report, I did and continue to concur in the joint recommendation from the Department of Transportation and the Bureau of Engineering.
Understood, but I like to have it on the oral record as well.
Very good.
All right, thank you. Agenda item number 2, hearing for an ordinance of intention weed abatement, recommending that the board hear and consider any appeals related to the 2019 weed abatement ordinance. This is the scheduling process of the weed abatement hearings, and I recognize that which we're likely to hear from Mr. Shaw anyway, the public hearing and final ordinance before the City Council will be at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, May 8th, 2019. Didn't want to steal all your thunder there, Mr. Shaw, but I did want to put that on the introductory section. So go ahead, sir.
Still away. Well, good morning, Board President, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, Dr. Campos. The ordinance of intention for the weed abatement for 2019 was on February the 27th. Council approved the proposed ordinance on March 26th, and now we didn't have any property owners who showed up for the hearing, so we request that the board adopt the 2019 weed abatement ordinance, which is going to be heard on May 8th. Was it?
May 8th, yes,
May 8th.
correct, May 8th, 2019. So no one showed up for the appeal. Just a question out of curiosity. It says when you Los Angeles City Basic APN list, APN is automated.
Oh, we have Mr.
Assessor parcel
Assessor.
number.
Oh, assessor parcel number. Thank you. I wasn't even right on the first one. These do look like assessor parcel numbers.
Yes.
This looks like the one I'd fill out when I pay my taxes. All right, thank you, sir. Any questions at all? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? For that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Agenda item number 1, tree removal, Council District 3, 5411 North Etowanda Avenue. Recommending that the board first certify that the board has reviewed and considered the information in the mitigated negative declaration, that's the M&D, for the project at 5411. Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make sure I didn't skip a speaker card from Dr. Williams. 5411 at North Etowanda Avenue, and find the information contained therein appropriately addresses the requested tree removals. Secondly, find that the project will not have a significant environmental effect under the above described M&D, the case numbers on the agenda form, as the imposition of the mitigation measures described in the M&D and incorporated herein as project conditions, and that there is no substantial evidence the proposed project will have a significant effect on the environment pursuant to the city's environmental guidelines and is in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, that is CEQA. Third, find that the project's conflict with any local policies or ordinances protecting biological resources, such as tree preservation policies or ordinances, is less than significant with the incorporation of mitigation measures 4-70 as contained in the M&D. Number 4, specify that the Bureau of Street Services, Streets LA Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. Number 5, approve the request for a fee tree removal permit for 7 Japanese privet trees. Tree replacements are required. And number 6, concur with the Streets LA determination that the site cannot feasibly accommodate all of the required replacement trees, and therefore, pursuant to the Los Angeles Municipal Code, Section 62.177C, authorize the tree replacement guarantee fee to satisfy the Public Works planting requirement. Mr. Banuelos, go ahead, sir.
Yes, good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Rep, Representatives. What we have before us is a request to remove 7 Japanese privets for required street widening. And this project is part of it's the new three-story office building and part of the Providence Tarzana Medical Center. The 7 trees proposed for removal are not in very good shape. They're poor health with sparse foliage and poor branching structure. That's 6 of the 7 trees. The 7th tree is in fair condition. However, there is required street widening in order to construct this office building and medical building. And so and just before that, I just want to state that the Streets LA does look to preserve mature, healthy trees whenever possible. Unfortunately, these trees are not, or 6 of the 7 trees are not worthy specimens for preservation.
In other words, they're not healthy.
No, they are
That's
not
a
healthy.
polite way of saying that, Mr. Benuelos, but go ahead.
Yeah, okay. And so the trees will be replaced with 9 trees on site. They can only be feasibly planted 9 trees. Another 5 trees to meet the board's 2-to-1 replacement will be replaced with the in lieu fees.
Okay.
At a later date within the council districts. So the Bureau did receive and reviewed a mitigated negative declaration for the project and found that the mitigated negative declaration does appropriately address the tree removals and replacements. The Council District 3 and Neighborhood Council, Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, and the Community Forestry Advisory Committee were advised of the tree removal permit request.
Okay, and just again, to summarize what you already said regarding the replacement trees, so 7 are coming out, that means 14 go in. You are able to replace 9 trees on site, so there will be more on site that are coming out, but the remainder of the 5, there's not room for those on site, so those will be subject to the tree replacement fee to be planted in other areas of the city, correct?
Yes, that is true. They'll be planted within the respective council district
Okay, within the
in
council
areas
district.
more in need of tree planting. Yeah. Also wanted to say that there were also 2 dead trees in the right of way as well, which were previously permitted.
Okay, and those dead trees have already been taken out?
I'm not sure if they've been removed, but a permit was issued for their removal.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. You did mention that Council District 3 was notified, but are they in support of this motion and are they in support of the project in general? Do we know that information?
As far as I know, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Carrie Simmons is here. Ms. Simmons, are you here just in case of questions? Okay. Any questions? She was a representative for the project. No questions either. Then I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1, seconded by Commissioners Garcia and Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Any issue sending number 1 forthwith? We will send number 1 forthwith. Agenda item number 3. I'm sorry, agenda item number 5. Before we do number 3, number 5 is a personal services contract, 3-year renewal option. Electronic Recyclers International Incorporated for the collection of electronic waste, recommending that the board request authority from the Board of Public Works to exercise the first renewal option to extend the personal services contract with Electronic Recyclers International for an additional 3 years, beginning June 3rd, 2019. All terms and conditions remain in effect. The total cost contingency cap, it's a cap, also remains unchanged at $500,000. Ms. Lozano.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Yasmin Lozano with LA Sanitation's Solid Resources Citywide Recycling Division. As part of the Residential Special Materials Program, also known as the Household Hazardous Waste Program, the Electronic Waste Collection and Recycling Program has been elemental in the protection of LA City residents and the environment. It not only provides opportunities for safe and proper recycling, but it also brings in revenue for the City of Los Angeles, which helps support LA Sanitation's Household Hazardous Waste Program and its efforts. Currently, the City of Los Angeles is contracted with Electronic Recyclers International, Inc., or ERI, who provides the complete service of collection, transportation, and recycling of all LA City electronic waste. This revenue-generating contract was executed on June 3rd, 2014, and will expire on June 2nd, 2019. So I'm here today to request the authority of the Board of Public Works to exercise the first renewal option of this contract, which will extend this contract for an additional 3 years. The contractor will continue to provide the same professional services, and LA Sanitation will continue to provide services and recycling opportunities to our residents through our 7 Safe Centers, mobile collection events, and through our bulky item collection program.
Any questions at all for Ms. Lozano? No questions from Ms. Lozano. Commissioner Cabello has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 5.
Thank you.
Seconded by Commissioner Davis. Thank you, ma'am. By the way, I'll just note that the participation numbers look pretty good. WBE could be higher, but MBE is very good. Thank you. Any objection on number 5? Without objection on number 5, we'll adopt it. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. Agenda item number 3, term extension, Southern California Gas Company, franchise ordinance. Recommending that the board approve an 18-month extension of the Southern California Gas Company natural gas franchise ordinance from June 30th, 2019 to December 31, 2021, subject to City Council approval. And secondly, request the City Council to adopt the proposed ordinance prepared and presented by the Office of the City Attorney to extend the term of the Southern California Gas Company natural gas franchise ordinance number 168164 from June 30th, 2019 to December 31st, 2021. Dr. Williams, you have a card in on number 3.
Good morning. Dr. Tom Williams, Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community, gas company again. However, the thing that got my attention was, is it 18 months or 30 months? Because the 2021 December is 2.5 years away from June.
We'll get that corrected when Mr. Intuck comes up, but go ahead.
That's number 1. Number 2, I'd like to see what the bond, insurance, and reporting requirements are for the Southern California Gas Company regarding its franchise pipelines, because the issue came up last night as to what will happen to the city of Los Angeles if we have a San Bruno PG&E incident here with a, say 36-inch pipeline. And I notice in my area, there are about 8 different 90-degree turns. And if we have an earthquake, those turns are going to have a real problem surviving. So we're quite concerned regarding the bond requirements, the insurance requirements, and if they have an incident such as odor gas, is there an incident report submitted to the city of Los Angeles regarding what happened, what caused it, and what remediation will be employed? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. And Mr. Intuck, on number 3, we'll clear up the issue. I think the extension's for 18 months, but I think Dr. Williams' mathematics is correct on the date, so we'll get that cleared up.
Good morning, President James.
We'll change it.
Board and Bureau leadership. Today's request is related to the Southern California Gas Natural Gas Franchise Agreement. This original agreement expired in December of 2012. There has been 7 extensions. This would be the 8th extension. This function came under our responsibility officially in October of 2017. In this year, in the most recent delay was a Supreme Court ruling that had new requirements if you wanted to make any increases into the franchise rates or surcharges. And part of that compliance with that new Supreme Court ruling, state Supreme Court ruling, is doing a reasonable evaluation of the franchise. So in this year's fiscal budget, we were allocated funds to retain a consultant to do a financial evaluation. However, those funds were put in the unappropriated or UB balance that weren't available to the second half of this year. So going through our RFP and contracting and getting the Form 1022 approval could not happen until October. SFR approved. We were encumbered the funds. The CAO then signed off. Then we could release the RFP which we did release on March 11th last month, and we'll be getting closing bids this month. Then we'll need to review, score, and come back to the board to award the contract, and then also go through the city council to award the contract. And so with those time constraints, that's going to take another 6 to 12 months to finalize that work. This current extension expires this summer in June of 2019. It should be an 18-month extension, which would put us to December of 2020. Technically, we have an ultimate extension time that we could go to December of 2022. You know, you have the term was 20 years, and you could do 10 years of extensions. We don't want to get to that point, but based on what's been provided and approved by the council, this is the situation we're in today. So we're asking for an 18-month extension. This is tentatively scheduled next month. It'll go to the City Council subcommittee of gang reduction and public works and then budget and finance before going to the full City Council for adoption. And the timing is that we need to get this approved by the council, and then it has 30 days, and signed by the mayor, and then it has 30 days until it becomes ratified. And we didn't want to have any gap from the end of the deadline in June to when it becomes ratified.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Intek. And what we will do is, just for typo, we'll amend the board report. We'll do an amended motion if we get to that point anyway with the corrected date, but we'll go to Commissioner Cabello first.
Thank you, President James. And just for the record, for the public's sake, FSR stands for Financial Status Report. We do those quarterly in the city to allocate and reallocate money throughout the fiscal year. Quick point of clarification, if you can for me, Mr. Intuk. The California Supreme Court ruling applying to this particular case, does this apply to all other franchises as well? Or is there something unique about the Southern California Gas Company that a study is required? I just need a little clarification on that.
So the difference between the other franchise agreements, which we have about 45, are a variety of commodities: crude oil, chilled water, natural gas, electricity. Not all of those are regulated by the California Public Utility Commission, because this is a publicly regulated utility provider. Southern California Edison, Southern California Gas are different. They have different rules and requirements than a crude oil pipeline or a jet fuel pipeline. And so, and then the way these franchise agreements are structured are different. The other ones are linear foot or the length or volume. This is purely on gross receipts. So the way this is structured, it has two tiers. One, you get 2% of gross receipts in the entire service area that comes to the city. And then you have 2% of gross receipts in addition to that just in the city of LA. And so it's a combination of the two that make up anywhere from $15 to $17 million a year that we take in revenue from this franchise agreement, which is different. We don't have any gross receipts, crude oil or diesel pipeline
So this is
structure.
specific to natural gas.
It's specific to natural gas and electricity.
And
actually, in the Supreme Court case, it was about Southern California Edison and increasing their rate in Santa Barbara. And should have gone to the voters as a ballot measure versus negotiated and adopted by the City Council. And the California Public Utility Commission also has to ratify the change, which is different. We don't have to do that with any other franchises. So this is why it's unique in nature from the other ones.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Intek. Very helpful, by the way. I don't think I had any other. And the question I'm going to ask you, I'll take the liberty of asking you one-on-one, then rather than put it on the public record, regarding the negotiations going forward with SoCal Gas. So I don't think that's necessarily
I would just
proper.
say we've made substantial progress and things are productive.
Okay. I'm not going to have you speculate on the public record on that, though.
I do have two.
Yes, please.
Two other things. One on the insurance and bonding. They do have adequate levels of insurance. There's not a bonding requirement on this. We are indemnified through the franchise agreement. So if anything were to happen at a San Bruno-esque event, the city would have no liability according to our franchise agreement. That's why it's important to make sure we have a legally in place some type of agreement. And then lastly, there was some discussion with the city attorney's office on transmittal number 1. This was the draft ordinance that my office put together, but not the ordinance that the city attorneys drafted. So I didn't know if they wanted to remove.
I can clarify the issue. So
Yeah, I got a note that Mr. Jordan would like to amend recommendation number 2.
Yeah, so I'm fine. The transmittal is part of the record. It's assistance and assist the board in the discussion and record of the matter. We will transmit the final ordinance. It will. So what you have before you is the discussion draft, the substantive change, and the purpose is to extend the franchise. But much as what we do with the weed abatement ordinance, it's the city attorney's office that will transmit it. So we've given you the written change to the board report that will accomplish that.
Okay, great. Then, so are we amending recommendation number 2 to request the city attorney to transmit to the council the proposed ordinance?
Yes.
Okay. Then that'll be the recommended amendment that'll be part of my motion.
Plus one other amendment.
Go ahead, Mr. Intel.
Correcting the date to be December 2020.
Yes. You're right. Yes, thank you. That would be, we'll call that the Dr. Williams amendment.
Yes.
That will be moving it to December 31, 2020. So we have two amendments. So that will be my motion as amended accordingly, seconded by Commissioners Cabello and Garcia. Any objection? With that objection, that'll be the order. Any issue sending number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. Thank you, everyone, for your participation in that. Dr. Campos, have we closed have we cleared the desk today?
For the voting items, yes, you have. You still have item number 12.
Which is our oral report.
Correct.
On solid resources collection yards activities. Mr. Lee.
Morning, President James, commissioners, and board representatives. For a minute, I thought I was going to get out of here.
Not quite. We're close. We're close. You do have control over how long you're here, though.
Yes, I know. I'll make it brief, but it won't be that brief. But it'll be brief. First, I'm going to be representing both the Valley Collection and the South Collection Division today. The Valley Collection combined yards, East and West Valley, collected 161,550 tons last quarter. Out of that, 78,509 tons were diverted for recycling. That's 48% of what was collected was recycled. On the South Collection, they collected 219,000 tons. 77,000 tons of that were diverted with a 35% diversion rate to be recycled. We also are in the process of hiring, and we just made job offers to 27 MLs through local target hiring, so they're going through their backgrounds. We also picked up 35 full-time RCTOs. The funny thing is we have 55 vacancies. We exhausted the list, and we were able to pick up 35 RCTOs. Because of that, we had to backfill with 50 exempt RCTOs. They'll be working on a part-time basis. Let's move on to some bulky item information for you guys. If you look to your far right for March 19th, for this past March, we picked up 58,602 bulky requests. If you go to the top, you see 99.5%. 99.5% of those calls were collected on the scheduled date. And we have February 19th, shows 49,000. You go over to January, we had 61,000. But if you go to your far left, you'll see March 18. That's from last year. Our bulky calls went up 6,000 from March to March, if you compare March to March. As we do these numbers, every month our numbers climb. So we're looking at August, we're wondering how high we're going to get in the 80s, 85,000, 86, 87,000 calls coming in. If you look at the next sheet, we have what was collected per CD for the month of March. It just gives you a breakdown what everybody for the month of March got collected for them. If you look at our next sheet, I have brought you guys a copy of our
bulk item public dumps for free. And we just had our second event of the year. For March, the numbers were, let me get to here. March's numbers, we had 333 residents participate in the event, and they dumped 331 tons. And we just did one this past Saturday, and we had 188 participants with 127 tons. You notice we have East Valley District you can have drop off, West Valley, the Harbor, and West LA. We don't do North Central and South LA because we open up carts to the residents, kind of a central hub for everybody, and they can just go straight there. All you have to do is bring your DWP bill, show that you live in this city. It shows what you can't bring. We document their name, address, what they bring, and we capture now the email addresses so we can start doing email blasts. Pam and her group will do that. If you flip over to the next page, we have our open houses coming up. And the first one will be May 4th. And I don't know if you guys have attended an open house. Great event. I really, truly believe you have to go to an open house to get the feel of what's going on. You know, we do our truck demonstrations, we barbecue, we have all our booths set up for what services we have. The shops are open. They go in and look at, see what's going on in the shops. We do raffle off a lot of stuff for the kids. Not so much for adults, but it's, you know, it's all about the kids. Every kid that comes in, we give them a little yellow helmet. And this is one of our hot items when we raffle. We probably do 4, 5, 6 of these every event. We have, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this.
I love it.
We have little trash shirts made up with Mr. Recycling on them. And, you know, it's a shame that not every kid can get them and you see them crying after the, you know, raffles are over. We also have been purchasing Tonka trucks for the kids. We were doing that out of pocket for the last few years. And so finally they decided, you know, they're paying for them now. So it's a fantastic event, the open houses. We've been doing them since '03. Just to give you some numbers from last year's open house, we gave away 3,330 plants, and those plants consist of tomato plants, pepper plants, strawberry plants, jalapenos sometimes. On mulch and compost, we gave 3,250 bags away. Trees was 459 trees. And every year when we're doing these, the hot topic with residents, they flood the gates for the trees, but they want fruit trees, they want citrus trees, and this year we're able to get them. So our tree count is going to go up. And we had 6,881 residents that came to the event. And last but not least, you have a flyer there for our Earth Day, our 4th annual Earth Day. I don't know if you guys are looking forward to see you at Woodley Park. I know we have, I think it's now, we're up to 80 or 85 vendors are going to be there, or booths set up. So
Growing every year. I've
it's
been every
growing.
year.
It's a fantastic event.
And I love the fact that you guys move it around the city.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
So, and I just have one other thing to say, Commissioner Cabello. This is for you, because Mr. President James always says when sanitation comes, we have gifts for our representatives, and I don't have a green trash truck for you, but I think the shirt will look nice in your office, hanging up, to show what. Yeah, you get all this. You okay?
Oh, please.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
That's it. Any questions?
Yes, Commissioner Garcia and Commissioner Davis. We'll start with Garcia.
Thank you, President James. I just want to say that I'm in fully support of all these programs. This is exactly what we should be giving out back to the community. And personally, I know a lot of folks really do appreciate the free bulky item drop-off and the great work that goes into that. It eliminates a lot of bulky items out in the street, which is good for us as a whole in the city. So I appreciate that you guys opened this, and it's a free service for the community. And also I've never been to your open house, so I look forward to going this year.
You know, I'm kind of partial to East Valleys because it's the first one, and to me it's the best one. It's the newest yard we have. But also beside touring the yard and the shop, we have container services, and they open up the warehouse. So, yeah, Yeah, East Valley's a really nice yard.
Yeah, well, I just want to say I'm fully supporting all the programs you guys are doing that include the community and the residents to be part of the sanitation process as well.
Yeah, it was last year's open house. We were at West LA, and there's a couple of us that go to every open house, and we volunteer our time to do this. And we said, "Oh, thank God they're over." And there was somebody there who said, "No, we love these so much. We like going." But yeah, it's great outreach for the residency. East Valley, one year they had a birthday party in the lunchroom. They had 12, 15 kids there, put a birthday party on. I said, go ahead. They had a cake, parents there. So yeah, it's a great event. One last thing is a couple of years ago, in LA, free things to do with your kids. I don't know if it was LA Times or USA Today, but our open houses was the #1 event to do free with family and kids. So something to look forward to.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, Mr. Lee, I just really wanted to comment to thank you for the time and the energy that you put into the job, that this is just not a report. I can tell you enjoy what you're doing. I can tell it's well thought out. I love the fact that you've been innovative in your approach to what you do in terms of recycling and urging our citizens to participate. And what better way to do that than to make it a place where it's welcomed for the whole entire family. So by your bringing out the toys and also the plants that we share, and also the fruit trees, I think are critically important as well, because it helps us to really help enhance the environmental values that we have when we do these things. So again, this has just not been a report, but it's been one that you have brought to us with the kind of enthusiasm that tells us that you really believe in what you're doing, and we can see that you put time into it. And I want you to know that it's much appreciated.
Thank you. Actually, it's my first report, so it's, make it a good one. After that, set the bar high.
Wow.
And
There you go. You set the bar really high there, sir. All right. Well, thank you. No other questions. The oral report. Oh, Commissioner Caloza, I'm sorry.
Hi, I just wanted to add to what my colleague said, and thank you for your work. I really appreciated seeing the breakdown in the numbers, especially the second part of the graph that shows it by council district, which I really appreciated, and also the materials that you shared and that you guys provided, your flyers, also in Spanish, and language access, and making sure that we're constantly providing things in multiple languages is really important. So this is, I think, one of the first times I've seen a bureau do this, and so I just wanted to thank you for your enhanced outreach efforts on this specific project.
thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. Anything else? Then the oral report will be received.
Thank you.
Dr. Campos, have we now cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned. Everyone have a nice Wednesday.